Here, Kurt. This meeting of the Independent School District 535 School Board is called to order at 5:46 p.m. Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, in room 137 of the Edison Building. Present is Mr. Michael Munoz, Superintendent of Schools, and a non-voting ex officio member of the board. Also present is Ms. Wendy Edgar, Assistant Board Clerk. Ms. Edgar, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Amundson.
Here.
Mr. Barlow.
Here.
Ms. Nathan.
Here.
Ms. Marvin. Ms. Marvin.
Here.
Mr. Slusner.
Here.
Chair Singer.
Here.
Ms. Workman.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. 2.01, approval of the agenda. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, there are 3 changes to the agenda. Item 3.01, COVID update, and item 3.02, groundbreaking Northwest Elementary School, has been added. And item 4.03, approval student handbook, has been removed.
Move approval.
Second.
Sounds like Amundson and Marvin. Ms. Edgar?
Ms. Amundson.
Aye.
Aye.
Is Wendy saying my name?
I think so. We can't hear you, Wendy.
Ms. Marvin.
Here. No, yeah, I. That's what I meant. Was I.
That's okay. Ms. Nathan.
Aye.
Mr. Slusner.
Aye.
Chair Seelinger.
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
Thank you. I will now mute and go.
Okay. 3, announcements and communications. 3.01, COVID update. This is an information. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, I'm going to put up my slides here a little bit to review the feedback that we received from staff. But before I do that, I do want to give the board a little bit of an update. I think I shared with you on Friday that the secondary is looking at a block schedule for the distance learning, which would mean that they would have, students would have half their classes, for example, on Monday and the other half on Tuesday. And then we've also have received many emails from parents encouraging us to look at maybe starting secondary a little bit later during this distance learning time. So what we're looking at now, it's not final. We still have a few little details that we need to work out with the teachers union. But we're looking at an 8:25 or 8:30 start, and which would be the end of the day would be 3:13. But like I said, we're still working with our teachers union. There's a few minor little things that we need to work out, but we believe that this is probably the block schedule and this time would really be the best for our students, and especially in the distance learning model. So at this time, I'm going to share my slides. So just a little bit of background. We did a staff survey, and that was open from July 28th to August 3rd. We had 912 individuals responding. A little over 72% of those were teachers. So this was given to all staff. So we had 912, and we have just a little under 3,000 total employees. So but that's the number that participated. The task force membership reviewed the results of this survey, and themes will be shared with you here shortly. You've seen this slide before. I think it was in one of our other presentations, but this is the first question we asked them is which model are you or scenario are you most comfortable with? If you look here on the this first set of numbers, this is their first choice that they're most comfortable with. If you look at in person was just a little over 19% had that as their first choice. The hybrid model was almost 22%, and distance learning was a little over 60%. So the common themes that we received in the area of safety were prioritize in-person learning for the younger students, and they had concern about secondary students following safety procedures. They had comments about the need for PPE equipment, additional PPE for close contact for special education students, list of cleaning solutions and how to use them. There are questions about ventilation, allocation of time and staff to clean high-touch surfaces, concern about mask refusal and lack of social distancing, safety protocols on buses, and home visits. We also, in the area of safety, questions about screening procedures, special education delivery models, process to handle positive cases, budget concerns for adequate supplies, keep schools inviting, not anxiety-producing, how to safely maintain sports programs, transportation should be balanced numbers, how do we handle shared equipment, and breakfast in the classroom. In the area of transportation, we received comments about cleaning measures on buses, required students to wear masks, social distancing, staggering arrival and departure times, windows open for ventilation and supervision during drop-off periods at the elementary level, and then sped buses and van procedures, staffing drivers, and hand transferring of ECSE students. In the area of mental wellness, there were themes about academic and social emotional needs of students, staff resources and how to access help, staff connections and staff circles remain important, work-life balance and turning work off, reduced ability to comfort students, students and staff struggling with social isolation, reduced ability to provide inclusive experiences for students with special needs, and heightened anxiety over positive cases. Also in the area of mental wellness, reducing fears of mask and social distancing, balancing safety procedures with a warm, welcome environment. Counselors and social worker schedules were busy before the pandemic, long-term effects on children's mental health, and path for families to identify their concerns. In the area of learning, equitable educational experiences, support services, and technology to all students. Daily instruction should include live teacher lessons, small group collaboration, and student demonstration of thinking and learning. Professional development and time to plan in order to implement changes in instructional practices. Feasibility of hybrid model. Strong push for direct tech support, not necessarily through the teacher, and support for EL families. 2 days of in-person contact instead of one. Concerns about staff tech compatibility, ability to facilitate high levels of learning. Students have their own devices, and ideally Chromebooks, particularly for upper elementary through high school. There are comments about planning time, access for webcams and microphones. SEL should be reflected in sample schedules. Distance learning only teachers for families that have opted for distance learning instead of hybrid. Engaging students in distance learning, and mixed views on grading models at the secondary level. And communication with EL families and rethinking assessments for the digital environment. And then some other comments, staff having a clean, high-touch areas, additional responsibility and ability of substitute teachers. And I just wanted to share with you, we've received many positive comments from staff, not only in this survey, but just through emails. So I just have an example of one of those here on the screen. Thank you for your imaginable amount of time and energy that has been required to you to create, think through, hear feedback on, and help determine what is best for our students, their families, and our staff. I'm sorry you're having to do this much, and I can't thank you enough for your efforts. So just one example of the positive feedback that we received either through the survey or just through a direct email. So let me, okay. So hopefully, as you saw some of those, and then when we presented the model at previous board meeting, you saw a lot of the suggestions built in the model that we shared with you. And we're still working on some of the suggestions that we're still working on. And we'll probably share those at a later date when we have things finalized. So any questions?
I think you're going to have to go ahead and unmute and ask questions because I'm not seeing on my iPad the chat or hand raising function.
I don't see the hand either. I had a question. Will these slides be available on Board Docs, Mike?
Yes, I thought they were in Board Docs. If they're not,
okay,
we'll get them in there.
Thank you. I just refreshed my Board Docs and I didn't see it, but I'm having technical issues today in case anybody hadn't noticed.
Melissa?
So I think it's wonderful if we're able to change the start times for secondary. I'm wondering though about students who may have like an after-school job. Will there be accommodations if that creates an issue for them?
Yeah, we are working on that. Besides having for the distance learning students, we are having some basic busing transportation, but we also are going to be using some of our vans to accommodate students that may not be able to arrive at the time the bus is provided or leave when the bus is leaving. I don't think this time is any different than what their current dismissal time is. So if they are working normally like after school, it shouldn't have too much of a conflict.
So are you saying, I'm sorry, I missed the numbers. It's starting later but not ending later because we're saving time by doing the block. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that point.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Kathy and then Jean.
Melissa, were you done?
I am done.
Okay.
Deborah said Kathy, then Jean, but Jean froze.
I know that one of the concerns in there was about substitutes, but before we talk about substitutes, we have to have the everyday staff. How are we doing in terms of having the staff to cover our hybrid and our distance learning models based on exemptions or other requests?
We're in great shape. We have plenty of staff to cover all the students that are doing elementary students that have requested full DL. And we also believe that we may have the ability to provide one and possibly two full-time subs in each elementary building to help cover whenever we need a sub, or if a teacher has to quarantine for so many days, we will have subs available at each elementary to provide that.
Jean appears frozen on my screen, but Jean, if you're able to ask your question, please go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Try again, Jean.
Me? No.
You're kind of cutting in and out.
Can you hear me or not? No?
So?
Can you hear me better now? Okay.
Not
Fine.
really.
Just no. Okay, just go. And that's fine. Never mind.
We can always email my questions later if we can't get them through technology. Yeah, you're a little, your picture's a little fuzzy, Jean, so I don't know if that's impacting your audio as well.
Try one. Can you hear this or not?
That I can hear.
You can hear. You know what? I will type it in the back box.
Okay, thank you, Jean. Any other questions, board members? Can anyone see Jean's chat box? And I see Kathy's hand went up. Mike, did you have something, or you want me to let Kathy go ahead?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Kathy?
I know that there were a lot of safety concerns that were in the responses, and of course our parents had those same concerns. I know that you had those 2 extra days for professional development, but can you give us an update on how the implementation of some of those physical changes in the building are going, and are we getting the orders of our PPE and supplies in time for everything to be on track for opening?
We believe, yeah, we think we're fine, and we're very fortunate that Mayo Clinic has reached out to us, and if there's equipment that we are having difficulty getting, that they are willing to work with us and connect us to their suppliers. So we feel that we're in pretty good shape. The good part is Scott has done a really nice job of ordering stuff way in advance, knowing that we would need some of that equipment. But at this time, we believe we're going to be able to get what we need. And then we also have, at the end of this month, we have the mask and face shields coming from the state as well.
Anything else, board members?
Jean's
Melissa?
comment came into the chat, and it says, just to note that the end time for high school is only 10 minutes later than normal. So I think she was helping me with my question, and thank you, Jean, for that clarification.
Thanks. Thanks for, we're juggling the technology. Okay, let's go ahead to 3.02, groundbreaking Northwest Elementary School information. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, just as an FYI, and boards, you will be receiving an invite for this, but on August 27th at 11 a.m., we will have a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Northwest Elementary. We're going to because of the COVID, we're going to have to limit some of the participation, but we do have members from the chamber coming. Our consultants, of course, will be there. Like I said, all the board members will be receiving an invite. We're inviting some of the task force members, of course, the media, but just wanted to make you and get that on your calendar. But it's August 27th at 11 a.m. And like I said, you will be receiving a invite here in the near future.
Very exciting. Thank you. Okay. 3.03, 2020 School Board Committee Assignment Updates. I have an update from Mr. Queasley, Minnesota State High School League. On Monday, they started fall sports, and they're happy with their participation numbers, although they are down across the board, which was expected. District-wide, they have 225 in boys soccer, 175 in girls soccer, 121 in girls cross country, 152 in boys cross country, 155 in girls swim and dive, and 70 in girls tennis. That's about 900 students. Additionally, all 3 high schools, Mayo, John Marshall, Century, marching bands, each have averaged 125 to 150 students in their band camps. MSHSL continues to define the practice seasons for football, volleyball, and spring sports teams. We will have an outline in the next couple of weeks with options for students, parents, and coaches. Obviously, a tremendous amount of preparation has gone into that. I did ask a question about students getting to practice. They are responsible for their own transportation as distant learning in the distant learning model. They've moved practice tryouts around to allow parents better flexibility to get to practice. As we learn more about the barriers, physicals, transportation, costs, health concerns, we are addressing them. So that is our activities report. Others? Either unmute or show your hand and Wendy can give me a sign. Other committee reports. Oh, Julie, you have your AMSD report?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll try and abbreviate it. I've got like 3.5 pages of single space typewritten notes. So I will spare you a two-hour review of a meeting that was an hour and a half, right?
Thank you.
So one of the things I'd like to point out, one of the reasons I like to have these virtual meetings for AMSD, it involves a trip up to the cities at a very early hour or going up the night before. And so this does help a little bit with district expenses. So the only disadvantage, of course, is you miss the opportunity to mingle and chat. And, that's an important piece of it, too. So at our meeting on August 14th, there were 160 of us on Zoom. And there were 3 guests, Mary Catherine Ricker, who is the Minnesota Department of Education Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioner, Heather Mueller, and Scott Simon, Secretary of State. So just a few highlights. Ms. Ricker said that people look to us for certainty and safety, which of course is very difficult to tell anybody with certainty, what's going to happen. But she emphasized that one area that the pandemic has not taken the power away from us is communication, which builds confidence. And she talked about that for a few minutes and stressed the importance of that in these uncertain times. She discussed a little bit on the regional support teams. I think there has been enough information out there about that. I won't go into detail now, except that August 25th and 26th, we will be introduced to the regional support team. They'll have that ready by then. She also stressed that we need community help more than ever. And I know, Deborah, you gave a very impassioned plea for this at I believe it was our August 4th board meeting on this. What they have seen so far at MDE is just a lack of space. So she was encouraging people to figure out where we can get more space so students can be in school more often. This is certainly a concern for us right now with having enough space for essential workers who need childcare during the school day. And then she suggested, or she told us that MDE has a list of ways to redeploy our staff. So I'm assuming that Mike already has all of this. So I'm not going to go into detail on that. And then she said, at the end of the day, after you have tried everything, you've looked at space, reconfiguration, et cetera, call MDE. I'm not sure what they can do, but that was the message. And then she talked a little bit about the coronavirus relief funds and that each district would be getting an email as to what the amount would be and what those look like. I know, Mike, you have stressed this as well, that we need to spend that money first by December 31st. So she said, spend that up first before you go to your gears and other sources. Then Secretary of State Steve Simon spoke for a little while, and he got some questions on voting. He said, we really need to assume that the pandemic will still be with us in November, and that we really need to keep looking at our elections through a public health lens. I did not know this. There are 3,000 polling places in the state of Minnesota with 3 million voters, so you can do the math to figure out what that's like. And I know my voting place is pretty cramped quarters, so it would be hard to socially distance. So he's encouraging people to vote from home, and we are losing some of our usual poll workers because they are. I was going to say they're in my group and they're old, but which typically hasn't been a problem. But we really need poll workers. It is paid. I believe, Melissa, you were a poll worker for the primary, and it was a long day for you. But if you are 16 years and older, you can be a poll worker. But you have to live in the geographical area that where you would vote. If you're 18 and older, you're not tied to the geography. And PPE has been distributed to all polling places. And then finally, well, maybe not finally, almost finally, school board members and other elected officials can serve as election judges. You cannot be an election judge if you are on the ballot. And I think that's important for community members to know as well. Then from a couple updates from the legislature with the notice of early voting that we can do. With some districts, we're having a problem with referendum notices, which could not be sent out more than 30 days ahead of the voting, and there was an issue then with people not getting the referendum information before they did their early voting because that 30 days was tied to the actual election day. So I think that has been adjusted. In the August bill, there was nothing specifically related to education, mostly because the state sells bonds in August, so that didn't come up. The CRF, the Coronavirus Relief Fund, is in a new round of funding. $256 million for the states, $5 million of which will go for PPE for students and staff, which includes teachers getting face shields as well. There's one saliva test available for every educator only, at a cost of $6 million, and the rest will be going out to the districts, which is based on our average daily membership and our historically underserved students. So that's the only other thing I guess AMSD will have coming out, and I think most of us already know this, is an education issues guide. They're working on updating it, and there are also sample questions for candidate forums. So I look forward to seeing that online as well. And that is my report.
Thank you. You squeezed a lot in there. Other committee reports. Please go ahead and unmute and Melissa.
Jean had typed a report into the chat box. Can I read that for her?
Of course.
It says, District Family Engagement. Kids do best when schools and family work together. The virtual meetings are being taped and currently translated into Spanish and Somali. I see Jean also has her hand up. Maybe I just stole her report.
No, can you hear me now?
It's still
No.
Not really, Jean. You sound like you're in a tin can. Was that everything from Jean, Melissa?
It appears to be all she had to say.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Jean. Others? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Oh, thank you. Director Workman.
Second, Schlossner.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Edgar.
Second, Schlossner.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded.
Ms. Amundson,
Aye.
Mr. Barlow,
Aye.
Marvin,
Aye.
Ms. Nathan, Ms. Nathan,
Aye.
Mr. Schlusner,
Aye.
Chair Seelinger,
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Superintendent?
Yes, we have 3 retirements to recognize. First in clerical, Charlotte Higgins, office manager for elementary school at Falwell. Retirement effective the end of the day, September 30th, 2020. Been with the district 22 years. And then Brenda Preby, counseling office secretary at Mayo High School. Retirement effective the end of the day, September 30th, 2020. She's been with the district 28 years. And then in non-schedule, we have Karen Wright, licensed practical nurse at Sunset Terrace Elementary. Retirement effective the end of the day, September 10th, 2020. Been with the district 2 years. So we thank those 3 individuals for their service to our district.
Thank you. 7.01, approval of crossing guard services. This is a briefing item. Superintendent?
Yes, this time I'm going to turn it over to Scott Sheridan, Executive Director of Operations, to brief us on this agenda item. Scott.
Good evening, board members. I'm here to brief you on the approval for the crossing guard services. This is an annual briefing that I provide to you. As you know, Express Employment Professionals, we contract with them to provide crossing guard services for those that aren't filled by our site. So, but Express Employment actually fills the vast majority of the crossing guard positions. And so we have an account set up with them, and they bill us on a monthly basis. And what we want to do is establish a cost parameter for that. And because of the fact that it exceeds the $175,000 statute required to get board approval, that's why I'm coming to you tonight to seek that approval. We anticipate that the costs might be about $261,000 for the 2020-2021 year. Because the elementary schools are in the hybrid system and they're attending school 4 days a week, we are going to need to utilize the crossing guard services. They also provide services during the summer as well if we happen to have summer school in the summer. So like I said, last year we paid out $260,910, and what we did, we just bumped it up a little bit for this year to $261,100 for this coming year.
Thank you. Any questions, board members?
I just have a comment I'd like to make.
Go ahead.
You know, it's really, with all the work that everybody's doing, and by everybody I mean the cabinet, the superintendent, everybody, sometimes it's easy to forget that we're also doing the same work that we normally do. And this meeting seems to be more like one of those meetings. So Scott and everybody else, I really appreciate you're hanging in there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, do you foresee any issues getting folks to be crossing guards this year as we have had in the past?
Unfortunately, yes. We have had some people that have decided not to return because of the COVID. They didn't want to put themselves at risk. So how it's going to turn out eventually, I'm just not quite sure. I know Express does work really hard to try to fill those positions for us. But so we're just trying to keep our fingers crossed.
So do you want to do a plug for if someone is listening and maybe wants to be a crossing guard, how they can apply?
I think you just did, yeah.
Including school board members, because we can make up to $8,000 in addition to our salary.
Perfect.
Which might be actually a kind of a fun gig this school year to see some kids walking to school. I see Director Amundsen and Director Nathan on my screen. Looks like I'm getting Kathy. What do you got?
So I am, remember my crossing guard friend who always asks me every year when we are approving this contract to ask that we put messages out to our community at the beginning of the year, in addition to our bus safety messages about safety around crossing guards and intersections, because they're really out there putting themselves in the line of fire, if you will. So I'm hoping if it, part of those back to school messages, if we can make sure that we emphasize safety around our crosswalks and crossing guards as well.
Yes, we'll make sure we duly note that. Thank you.
Melissa?
I was going to ask whether it'd be helpful to move this to action.
Yes, it would. Thank you.
If there aren't any other questions, I'd like to move this to action.
Second, Workman.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to move this to action. Ms. Edgar?
Ms. Amundsen,
Aye.
Mr. Barlow,
Aye.
Ms. Marvin,
Aye.
Ms. Nathan,
Aye.
Schlusner,
Aye.
Chair Seelinger,
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
Thank you.
I will now read the resolution. Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 does hereby approve the purchase of crossing guard services for the 2020 21 school year from Express Employment Professionals in the estimated amount of $261,100.
Move approval, Workman.
Second, Amundsen.
Any discussion? Ms. Edgar?
Ms. Amundsen,
Aye.
Mr. Barlow,
Aye.
Ms. Marvin,
Aye.
Ms. Nathan,
Aye.
Mr. Schlusner,
Aye.
Slinger,
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
Thank you.
7.02, approval of a transfer from the Building Construction Fund to the Debt Service Fund. This is a briefing item. Mr. Munoz?
Yes, Mr. John Carlson, Executive Director of Finance, will brief us on this agenda item. John?
All right, good evening, school board members. I'm here to ask for your permission to move some money that we have left over from the Hoover projects we started in 2017. We'd moved the leftover funds from the Building Construction Fund over to the Debt Service Fund. The net result of that means that in the future a property tax levy will be reduced slightly to account for those extra funds in the Debt Service Fund. Basically, these projects started 3 years ago. They are all complete and paid for, and being that we have money left over means we came in slightly under budget. So according to statute there, or the guidance we had in the Uniform Financial Accounting and Reporting Standards, we need to bring this to the board for approval. And if you notice in the resolution, I did put in the approximate amount before the two sets of dollar amounts, and that just means there might be a little bit more interest, a couple more pennies here or there as we close these investment accounts out. So I just wanted to leave it a little bit flexible there. So just know that we don't intend to deviate from that materially.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Carlson?
I have one comment.
Go ahead,
I have
Julie.
one comment. Yeah, I'm, you know, there are so many times when the work that we do, by we I mean you guys, comes in under budget. So that's always really, really good news that we're not having to expend more money than we had budgeted for. So I would like to move this to action unless there's other comments.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Edgar?
Ms. Amundson,
Aye.
Mr. Barlow,
Aye.
Ms. Marvin, Ms. Marvin. Got it. Ms. Nathan,
Aye.
Mr. Slusner,
Aye.
Chair Seelinger,
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
I will now read the resolution. Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 does hereby approve a transfer of remaining funds from the Certificate of Participation Series 2017A in the approximate amount of $104,660.37 from the Building Construction Fund to the Debt Service Fund. And be it further resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 does hereby approve a transfer of remaining funds from General Obligation Facilities Maintenance Bonds Series 2017B in the approximate amount of $7,848.60 from the Building Construction Fund to the Debt Service Fund.
Move approval. Workman.
Second, Amundson.
Thank you.
Move
Ms.
approval.
Adcock?
Ms. Amundson,
Aye.
Mr. Barlow,
Aye.
Ms. Marvin,
Aye.
Ms. Nathan,
Aye.
Mr. Slusner,
Aye.
Chair Seelinger,
Aye.
Ms. Workman.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Oh, man. Thank you. 7.03, approval of individual site agreement with City of Rochester. This is a briefing item, Superintendent.
Yes, John Carlson, Executive Director of Finance, will brief us on this agenda item. John?
All right. So on this item, we have been working, as you know, for several months on planning the construction for the new Northwest Elementary School. And we've had a lot of conversations with the City of Rochester staff, our district staff, and then, of course, our consultants that are working on these projects like LHB, CRW, Knutson, Bolton, and Menk. And we've come to agreement on a development agreement that needs to be approved by the school board. It also needs to be approved by the city council. It is hitting your agenda first, and then it will come to the city council on their August 31st meeting, we are told. Some highlights of the agreement are that once the school is opened, we do need to do a school zone speed limit analysis within 3 months. We need to do a mid-block pedestrian crossing, so that means in the middle of Overland Drive, we're going to have to do a pedestrian crossing there with a raised median for safety. We're going to have to do a northbound bypass lane on 18th Avenue Northwest and at Overland Drive. We need to agree that we're going to work with the future developer east of the new elementary school, which means we have to coordinate with them access to that property if the city says we need to coordinate with them. So there's a little bit flexible language there to negotiate kind of in a three-way deal there. We also need to take over the little bit of road from Granite Drive. It's now known as 23rd Avenue, and it's going to extend into our property as the bus route, and so we have to commit to maintaining that and plowing it because that will no longer be a city street. And then, of course, we do need to pay the charges that we've had in our budget for sewer access charge and water access charge. So that's all spelled out in this agreement. This is the kind of agreement the city puts together with all their developers, and we're recommending that this be approved tonight.
Thank you. Questions, board members? Melissa?
So just to be clear, all the things that are going to cost us money were things that were budgeted for and within our expectations of range of cost.
Yes, we have been carrying these on our budget that Kian's been updating you on, so they're kind of buried within the lines there, but they are within the building budget.
Don, then Kathy.
Yes, John, just a question of
concern, not that council members can, much like board members, predetermine their votes before they're cast, but are we fairly confident, certain that while this has passed city administration's approval, do we anticipate that it will pass the council as well?
Sure. What city staff told me is that it's going through the consent agenda at the city council meeting. So usually those are the non-controversial items. So I would expect that it would be approved probably with little or no discussion. So that's my best guess.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions for John?
I have a question. Yeah. Okay. So this is not an attempt to. I'm just curious about the contract in number 17 on non-payment. It says that the unpaid charges are. Let's see. Where is it? The city may collect the unpaid amount plus interest with through certification with Olmsted County for collection with the property taxes of that portion of the property that the unpaid charges are applicable to. I mean, this looks sort of like a boilerplate contract to me, but I was just curious, do we pay property taxes? We don't, do we?
No, we don't. In the rare case that we get assessed a charge, then we will get a property tax statement. And we don't have any currently, but we used to have one at John Marshall High School a few years back.
Okay, that was just purely a curiosity question. I'm not questioning at all our ability to meet our payments in a timely manner. So thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Kathy?
Would this be helpful to move to action?
Yes, it would, because if the city council approves it, that would be the day before your next board meeting. So then it'd be a done deal.
Then I move to action.
Second, Workman.
Thank you. Ms. Edgar?
Miss Amundson.
Aye.
Mr. Barlow.
Aye.
Marvin.
Aye.
Nathan.
Aye.
Mr. Slusner.
Aye.
Chair Seelinger.
Aye.
Miss Workman.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 does hereby approve the individual site development agreement Schmidt Park Elementary School Project number CD 2020-015 SDP with the City of Rochester contingent upon City Council approval of the same agreement on August 31st, 2020.
Move approval, Workman.
Second, Amundson.
If you can hear me, Marvin. After Amundson.
No, you're late.
Put Jean in there. She wants to approve something.
I've been muted too long.
She's been muted too long. Yeah, thank you. Ms. Edgar.
Miss Amundson.
Aye.
Mr. Barlow.
Aye.
Marvin.
Aye.
Miss Nathan.
Aye.
Mr. Slusner.
Aye.
Mr. Slusner.
Aye.
Chair Seelinger.
Aye.
Miss Workman.
Aye.
Thank you. 7.04, 2020-2021 calendar adjustment. This is a briefing item. Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Carl Bakken, Executive Director of Human Resources, will brief us on this agenda item. Carl?
I'm here. I just got to get my screen shared.
Okay. Thanks, Carl. Take your time.
Can you see that?
Yep, we can see it.
And I apologize for the noise too. I have a new computer. They're having some issues getting it finalized. It's sitting next to me. I tried to use it tonight. It's just not quite ready to go yet. So hopefully this noise will be something. Everybody will miss it once it goes away.
Yeah.
It should be a pretty straightforward consent agenda item. We are just looking to delay the start of school until September 2nd. We are looking to add August 31st and September 1st as non-duty days. And we're hoping to, planning to spend that time to provide staff development to strengthen the teaching at the hybrid and the distance learning model with supports at the secondary. So we're just asking that you give permission to adjust that calendar.
Carl, can you speak to the contract year of any of the bargaining units that we're still underneath what we need to be at this time and it's not going to impact end dates or anything?
No, it should not. I mean, contracts go through from July 1 to June 30th, and this would not impact that at all. There still are duty days for teachers. So it should. We have not heard any concerns from anybody along the lines of this being any contract-related issue.
Okay. So it's in part because we build in extra. We have 176 days, student contact days versus state minimum. Or
correct.
We're all good. I just want to get out there. We're all good. We're not going to have to go to school longer. That's all. Any other questions, board members? I can't see any of you with Carl's screen sharing. John Carlson?
Hi, I'm sorry for butting in here. I was just going to explain also that with the potential change in the start time of 8:25 going till 3:13, we've calculated it right down to the minute that we'll get enough days in to be fully funded for the year. So on the revenue side, this will work well.
John, if you've calculated it, I'm good with that. Thank you. Melissa? Oh, her hand went down. Anyone else?
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Okay, that happens. Anybody else?
Carl, can you unshare your screen?
Thanks, Carl. Okay, board members. If there's nothing else. Oh, Ms. Nathan?
Sorry. So, Superintendent, in the event that we do have to switch models at any point during the year and the governor allows us those 5 days, we wouldn't have to do any additional changes to the calendar because, I'll let you explain it, right?
Yes, we were told we could count those days as school days, just like we did in the spring when he gave us those 8 days to prepare. We were able to count those as school days.
Good, thanks.
Thanks. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion?
So move to action. Second, Workman.
Did you get the first, Wendy? Okay. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Edgar.
Miss Amundson.
Aye.
Mr. Barlow.
Aye.
Miss Marvin.
Aye.
Miss Nathan.
Aye.
Aye.
Chair Seelinger.
Aye.
Miss Workman.
Aye.
It's now, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 approves the adjustment to the school calendar for 2020-2021.
Move approval, Workman.
Second, Amundson.
Ms. Edgar?
Miss Amundson.
Aye.
Mr. Barlow.
Aye.
Miss Marvin. Miss Marvin. I'll go on. Miss Nathan. Gotcha. Thank you. Miss Nathan.
Aye.
Ms. Lusner.
Aye.
Chair Seelinger.
Aye.
Miss Workman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Chair Seelinger,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask the superintendent a question? So given that we're about 2 weeks out from the start of the year, is there a date that if parents haven't heard information from their building that they should get in contact with their administrators?
Yes, anytime they have questions, they should contact our administration, but we just sent them, are working on a communication, and then we are working on when they'll be notified, probably tomorrow, when they're either Group A or Group B, so they'll continue to get information from us, but if anytime they have questions, they should always contact their building principal.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, board members. 8.01, future discussions. We have a running list. We have a schedule of our almost everything on our running list. Is there anything else? Not seeing any hands raised. Ms. Nathan, you popped in.
I'm here. I don't know if Director Marvin is capable of communicating. We had an email exchange with the policy committee right before this meeting about a we believe statement related to equity and whether or not that was going to be discussed at the study session on the 25th. And I don't know if that was finalized or not.
Okay.
Can you hear me at all?
A little bit. Try, Jean.
Okay, can you hear? I'll type in the chat.
You're
Okay.
doing fine just now, actually, I think. Try speaking.
I sent an email this afternoon. Deborah and I are going to discuss that on Thursday. I think the policy committee needs a quick review before we send it. There's one major issue, I think, in it. And then we'll send it on, and we'll talk about at least sending it out before next week's meeting, and then hopefully planning some time at the retreat for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Berkman, you're the only one I see, so I don't know if that means you have something.
Yeah. Is it safe to assume we'll be getting weekly updates on the COVID and the situation like Mike presented tonight under announcements and communications? Is that something we can look forward to?
Well, I wouldn't say we're not going to do them weekly, no, but at every board meeting, yes, we can give you an update. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and we did discuss that, Ms. Berkman, I believe we did discuss that we would do some notes after the COVID advisory team, which are every other week on Thursdays. So we'll try to update if there's anything there too. So lots of information being gathered and going out. So so anything else? Kathy? No? Okay. All right. I just want to say thanks to my colleagues here, board and cabinet. I apologize for my technical difficulties. This is a little bit different on my iPad, but as you see, this is not always an easy this is not always an easy way to do things, but we're doing the best we can. So those who are watching, if you see me making strange faces, it's because I can hear and see things that I'm not sure everybody else can hear and see, but so apologies if I'm giving odd looks at times. But Ms. Amundsen.
Thanks. Can you let us know the progress towards returning to in-person meetings or a hybrid version, as I understand that some of our board members may wish to continue meeting from home due to high-risk situations?
Yeah, thanks. I just had a conversation with Kurt, our tech superhero, when I came in today, and so we're gonna he's gonna do some thinking about how we could possibly do that, and maybe have some testing of the system. My suggestion was we wait until September to get school off and running, and then kind of, take that on next. And we're going to see how we can accommodate everybody safely in our boardroom here at Edison. You all know, those of you who know me know that I like to spread out. I have 2 devices and a couple beverages and a bunch of papers, so I've kind of enjoyed having my own space here, but I do desperately miss seeing your faces in real life, and so it's definitely on the horizon. So we're just kind of looking at the tech pieces right now. But thanks for bringing that up, Melissa. Julie?
I have a quick question on that. So if there are folks who would rather continue to do this virtually, then that means that the board members who are there, as well as cabinet members, would still have to be on their devices like they are now, so that those who are not there would still be able to hear and see them, or not?
I don't think so, and that's some of the things that was one of my questions was, what if we have somebody virtually, and do we bring all the school board and cabinet back, or just the school board and cabinet members who are presenting? So just some you know, we just kind of got to go through the scenarios and how many people we have, and then of course we'll probably, you know, have Wendy do a poll and see who's comfortable coming back and not, and under what conditions. So we want to take that.
I've noticed. I've observed that. I mean, there have been some issues when you've got a couple people in the boardroom who are trying to be on their devices at the same time, and I was thinking, oh, that could really be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thanks. Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause? All right. If not, I will adjourn this meeting at 6:48. Thank you. Good night.